Hello everyone, in this video I will show you some best RPGs 2020, but before we start this video make sure you subscribe to your channel Games Down and hit the bell icon for more gaming videos. So without any further ado, let's start this video. First up we have Yes, Your Grace. Yes, Your Grace is a medieval kingdom management RPG that forces you to make tough calls as your country's leader. The game is set in a fantasy world inspired by Slavic folklore and sees you taking on the role of King Eric as he juggles his kingdom's resources and battles rivaling nations. Each day, villagers will come to your throne looking for advice or solutions to the unique problems. While some of them are genuinely in need, others may have their own interests in mind. Since resources are extremely limited, it's up to you to decide who's being honest and who's looking for an easy payday. Next up we have Nioh 2. The follow-up to Team Ninja's samurai RPG Nioh leans even further into the tough but fair, Souls-inspired combat of the first game while ditching its protagonist in favor of a customizable character. Set during the late 1500s in Sengoku-era Japan, Nioh 2 serves as a precursor to the events of the original and sees you taking on the role of Hiding, a half-spirit half-samurai being. This time around, there's an even wider selection of traditional Japanese weapons to wield, including adachi, kusarigama, and even dual katanas. Next up we have The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Although The Witcher 3 main questline can be completed in roughly 50 hours, most players are going to need a lot more time to wander through the bustling cities, war-ravaged swamps, dense forests, and sprawling caves that make up the open world known as the continent. This is because CD Projekt Red designed environments to encourage exploration by rewarding players for venturing off the beaten path and into the unknown. Next up we have The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. With the luxury of modding, playing The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim in 2020 can feel like a completely different experience than you remember. Whether it's removing many of the game's notorious bugs, improving graphics, or adding new regions to explore, you have a lot of options for making Skyrim still feel fresh after almost a decade. Set 200 years after Oblivion, the game sees you on a quest to defeat Alduin the World Eater, a terrifying dragon believed to bring about the end times. As a powerful dragonborn, players are given access to a variety of spells in addition to wielding bows, swords, shields, and axes. Next up we have The Surge 2. The Surge 2 is a third-person action RPG and a follow-up to 2017's The Surge. The sequel ditches the preset protagonist from the first game, allowing players to create a customizable character before being unceremoniously tossed into Jericho City, a sprawling urban wasteland brimming with mechanically enhanced enemies. Next up we have Steam World Quest. Steam World Quest is card strategy RPG from the creators of Steam World Dig and Steam World Heist, with quests set in the same universe. The game sees you guiding a party of courageous heroes through a hand-drawn world where you'll encounter fierce enemies and make startling discoveries in challenging turn-based battles. Along the way, you'll build a deck from over 100 unique cards that can be used to deal damage, perform spells, and affect the flow of battle. Steam World Quest wonderfully blends image and form's staple steampunk aesthetic with traditional fantasy elements, making it stand out visually. Next up we have Fire Emblem Three Houses. The latest entry in Nintendo's long-running strategy RPG takes players on a lengthy adventure that sees you becoming a professor at a prestigious academy located in the heart of Fodlan, a massive continent comprised of three rivaling nations. After swearing allegiance to one of three factions, the Black Eagles, the Blue Lions, or the Golden Deer, you'll begin training students out in the field while also managing their daily schedule. Next up we have Persona 5. Persona 5 is the most recent installment of the long-running JRPG series developed by Atlus. You play as a Japanese teenager codenamed Joker who moves to Tokyo for high school and has their whole life turned upside down when a series of supernatural events start to occur. In true RPG fashion, the game grants you a lot of freedom in how you decide to spend your days, who you choose to befriend, and how you plan on building out your team of personas. Next up we have Nier Automata. Nier Automata is a bizarrely wonderful action RPG that includes the lightning-fast combat we've come to expect from Platinum Games. The game tasks you with defeating alien machines to protect the future of humanity. However, to experience the full story, you'll have to replay it multiple times, with each playthrough revealing more about the game's world. If this sounds like a weird way to go about making a game, it is. However, Automata's quirkiness is what makes it stand out from other open-world games and feel entirely its own. Next up we have Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Assassin's Creed Odyssey is by far the best-looking entry in the historically based action RPG, breathing new life into the now 12-year-old franchise while telling an original story set in ancient Greece. The game blurs the line between realism and power fantasy even further by providing players with new combat options and continued support for a more stealth-based approach. In terms of visuals, Odyssey is a carefully blended mix of confident art design and technical wizardry, the result being an immersive open-world game whose magic and wonder could rival that of the gods of Olympus. Next up we have Monster Hunter World Iceborne. While Monster Hunter games have typically always appealed to a much smaller community, Monster Hunter World is Capcom's biggest attempt, and a largely successful one at that, to introduce a Western audience to the creature-slaying franchise. In addition to a year's worth of free updates, the latest Iceborne expansion adds new story content, monsters, weapons and armor, gameplay mechanics, and a host of QoL improvements to the base game. Next up we have Ni no Kuni 2 Revenant Kingdom. Ni no Kuni 2 makes several refinements to the first game as well as drastically changing some aspects of gameplay. In it, you play as Evan Petterwiska Tildrum, a young king who was dethroned from his castle and sets out to build a new kingdom. While you spend most of the time controlling Evan in the game's overworld, battles let you take control of other members of your party. Unlike the first game, Revenant Kingdom features real-time combat and more options for party customization. Next up we have South Park: The Fractured But Whole. Many people were pleasantly surprised when Stick of Truth, an RPG set in the South Park universe, managed to deliver a fun, player-driven experience. At first glance, The Fractured But Whole may just seem like a reskinned game, with the kids of South Park ditching fantasy role-playing in favor of superheroes. However, a shift in developers for the sequel has led to some interesting changes. Next up we have Kingdom Hearts 3. Although die-hard fans have been waiting to play a new Kingdom Hearts game for over a decade, Kingdom Hearts 3 looks to deliver something for everyone, even those that are new to the series. And while some parts of the games feel very dated, such as the stiff character animations and dialogue, a lot has been streamlined for new players. Next up we have Divinity: Original Sin 2. Divinity: Original Sin 2 is one of the best incarnations of traditional tabletop RPGs, only in the form of a video game. In it, you and up to 3 party members explore the rich, fantasy world of Rivion. The game lets you create your character from scratch, choosing their race, gender, stats, and origin story, or pick from a handful of pre-made ones. Where Original Sin 2 truly shines is its flexible quest design, allowing you to tackle challenges in a variety of ways. Usually, if you can think of a bizarre, out-of-the-box solution for a problem, Original Sin 2 has a way for you to attempt it. The last game of this list is Octopath Traveler. Octopath Traveler is a turn-based RPG from Square Enix that stands out for its unique HD 2D aesthetic. In a nod to retro games, characters are represented by 2D sprites that are then set against highly detailed environments with special lighting and particle effects. Complementing the game's distinct look is a lengthy 60-hour campaign spread across 8 playable characters that come from wildly different walks of life. So that's it guys, thanks for watching this video. Subscribe to your channel Games Down and press the bell icon for more gaming videos.